are 6 distilling tips to help you out. But first, welcome to Distillers and Brewing. My name is Randy, and this is a channel that's all about home distillation and brewing. All right, let me get the homework out of the way first, okay? There is 5 things that you can really do to help this channel out so that we can keep bringing this fantastic content. All right, first, you can hit that subscribe button down there if you haven't had the chance to. And if you do that, you might as well hit that notification bell so when we come out with something new, you'll be notified. Hey, share this with your friends. And if you like what you see, give us that thumbs up. And please leave a comment. Okay. All right. Here are the 6 tips that help you run your still. Hey, they work for me, and I hope they can work for you. So let's get started. Okay, tip number 1. All right, you got your mashes done. It's been fermenting for about a week, okay? And your question is the fermentation done? All right, well, the first clue, and this is not this is just an indicator there's something going on. First thing you're going to look at your fermenter is, if you have an airlock on it, is there bubbles bubbling? Okay, if the bubble stopped, that is a clue. Okay, that is a clue that you might be done. Number 1, most of the time a week it's done. Clue number 2, is there any activity in the bubbler? Like I said, that's not a measurement, that's just an indicator. Take the lid off. You take the lid off, you don't see much activity going on, stick your finger in and taste it. It should taste real sour, right? A lot of people say, oh, it tastes so great. It shouldn't really taste that great unless you really like sour stuff. But it should be really sour because that means all the sugar is gone. Okay, but there is one surefire way that you can know for a fact that it is done. Okay, and that is with a glass hydrometer. You drop that in there. Okay, and if it reads, it should read somewhere around 1.000. It could read a little bit less or just a little bit more, but that'd be a good indicator, or that is a good tool that it is done, because there's no sugar left, so the yeast did its job. Just remember that the refractometer at this point in time, since there's alcohol present, don't use this. Use this. You need both. Okay, so your fermentation is done. The next thing you want, if you want to know, what's the ABV of that liquid? All right, in that bucket. Okay, there is an easy way to figure that out, and you take your starting gravity. I'm gonna set that down before I break it. Start your starting gravity minus your final gravity, times that by 131.25, and that's going to equal your ABV. All right, so then you know for a fact it's done, and you'll know how much alcohol you got in there by volume. All right, that's tip number 1. Okay, tip number 2. Okay, so you know your fermentation is done. Now it's time to charge your still. You really want good, clean wort going into your still because it's so much less chance of scorching. All right, if you got big hunks in there, they could stick to something and burn and scorch. And I'm going to tell you, once you get that flavor in there, you can't get it out. So there's many ways to help clean up your ferment to go in your still. So you can use a screen of some type. So say you're fermenting on the grain, or you're using a pond pump to get out of your bucket to go into your still. You could scoop it out into your still, whatever the case may be. A lot of times I like to use an auto siphon. So I got my ferment up on the shelf. It's been sitting there, it's done its thing. and I'll use the auto siphon to siphon it out of the bucket into my still pot, and I'll leave all that junk behind, all right? So, you got a nice clean ferment in the still and you're getting ready. But the next thing you need to do after that, and I'm gonna add it in this tip, is, hey, degas your ferment. There is a lot of, and you can use a power drill with a paddle, or you can just stir real hard to get that. The gases they're in the liquid, and you need to just knock them loose. Okay, so there is many ways to degas, and you can check that out. All right, so that is tip number 2. Tip number 3. Heating your still. Okay, so if you're using propane, I like to use a diffuser plate, and it's just a plate of steel between the flame and the bottom of my still. It helps spread out the heat, and it really helps with any scorching on the bottom. All right. Now, myself, when I'm heating up my still, I like to use propane and electric at the same time. All right. And the reason I do that is just to speed up the process, because you got the fire underneath, and I only have 110 volt electric here, so it helps speed up that process. And I like to start out slow and then bring the temperature up, because what I'm trying to do is, you start adding that the energy into that liquid, it starts moving around. And if there is any particles in there that you might have missed, or whatever the case may be, it'll get them moving around, and it's less chance of it settling on something and scorching. Okay, so that is tip number 3. Okay, we're getting it done. Tip number 4, and it is titled, keep your eye on keep your eye on it as the temps rise. All right, so you got your still, you got it all stacked out, you're ready to go, you got some heat in it, you're getting it there. All right, this is about the only time I watch the pot temperature gauge. And first, when you get to about 145 degrees, you might see a couple drips coming out of the spout, and that's normal. All right, there's different chemicals that's in that liquid, and a lot of them are at different temperatures. You know, your methanols, the acetones, boom, 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 and all that. All right, so you will see about a few drops come off. So you're getting close, but now is not the time to walk away, because it just ain't. It's going to run, when it comes up, it starts coming up the column, it's going to come up fast. I like to use a sight glass in my column, okay? And the reason I do that is, it's a lot of things. I can see what's going on, so I can see some of the natural reflux coming down, and I can actually see if a puke's coming up, coming up the column. I can kill the heat real fast before it gets away from me, okay? So I like a sight glass. It's your preference if you want to use one or not, but that's just me. I like it, okay? So now the pot's up to 175, 180 degrees. I'm getting ready to cut back that heat, and I'm feeling the column. It's starting to come up the column, and we're getting ready to dial it back, right? All right, then now it's time to start watching the head temperature. All right, it will go and go and go and go and go, and then all of a sudden it'll go boom, real fast. And I mean, it's just about that fast too. All right, so the next thing I'm gonna see is I'm gonna start seeing drip, faster and faster. Then I'm gonna see a stream, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut the heat back, and then I will inch the heat up to get the nice pencil lead stream is what I do. Everybody still is different, and bigger still you got, the bigger the stream. If you're using a 4-inch column, you're gonna have a lot more stream than I do. But anyway, so once I get the stream out of the still that I like, Whew, now I can take a breath. And you'll start to, the column will start balancing out, and it will, the head temperature is going to be, it's going to hang out about 180-ish. About 180-ish. I need to drink water. And it's going to hang out there for a long time. All right. And I will say, when you do, I like to distill by the drip. You watch it drip, you'll get to the feel where it will be a nice little pencil lead stream, maybe a little bit broken at times, and so you will regulate. Did I miss something? Yeah, so I'm working just off electric now. A while back once it got up to a certain temp, I cut the propane off, and I'm running strictly electric. So, when I like the stream, I will make adjustments to the heat, up or down a little bit, but make your adjustments small. It takes a few minutes for the still to react to the adjustment you made on your heat controller. So make sure you give it a couple minutes for that reaction to, make small steps is what I'm trying to say. Okay? That is tip number 4. Okay, we're getting close to being done. Tip number 5, I'm gonna call it cuts. And this is where everybody's a little different, and this is the way I like to do it. And it works good for me, so let's go for there. All right. The first thing that's going to come off the still is your foreshots and heads. I consider them the same thing. It's something I don't want, and it's something I want to get rid of, but it is great for a fire starter. It is good for cleaning stuff, but it sure ain't tasty to drink, okay? All right, and then my rule of thumb is is 1 ounce per gallon of the still. So if I got 7 gallons in my still, I'm going to start collecting foreshots of heads in that measuring cup, and so it's 1 ounce per gallon. If it was a fruit wash, like a brandy or something like that, go 1.5 ounces, per gallon. Okay, and what this is this just your starting point? I know I got to get rid of that much at least. Might be more. It ain't gonna be less, but it might be a little bit more. But it's a starting point where I'm sitting there smelling, tasting, feeling, and once it gets to, feel good and taste good and smell good, that is when I will start with a small jar first, right? And the reason I do this, so what I'll end up doing is I'll take 2 small jars first, and that's the reason if I messed up. Hey, we all mess up, right? So I'll collect 2 of these at the beginning. And once I collect them 2, then I'm going to move on to a quart jar. All right? So, I know I'm a little different. A lot of people check with parrots. They're checking the last amount of a jar. Me, myself, I use a refractometer that I do recalibrate often, I recalibrate it to my glass proof of trail hydrometer. So, when I reach 40 ABV coming right out of the spout, I'm done, okay? I've come to the conclusion I don't want to waste my time. And it seems like then I can use everything I've made, and it works out great for me doing it that way. So now sometimes what I'll do is I'll put another jar under and I'll crank the heat up a little bit and really just collect, because I am not worried about getting into tails, because I'm going to put it in my face jar and I'll add it to something else later on. All right? So after I've done that, I collected my jars. I got my face over in my face jar. I'm going to take paper towels, or a lot of people use coffee filters. I think it all works the same, and I use a coffee filter, put a ring on there, And what I want to do is I just want to keep little critters out of it or whatever, things flying around or if something dropped in it or something. And I'll leave them covered up for 24 hours and let them breathe. I just found that you just get a lot better product if you do that. And it's like I said, it works for me. All right, okay, that is step number 5. Okay, step number 6. It's been a long day, right? Okay, so step number 6 is let it cool down and clean. Well, that ain't one of the most favorite things in the world to do, but it has to be done. All right, so what we do is what I'll end up doing is start taking off my column, right? And set it aside until it cools, because I don't like to put cold water on any metal that is real hot. I feel that it might warp something, and I don't want to do that. Okay, so once it cools, it don't take long for that piece of column to cool down once it's off that hot pot. All right, so like I said, I'll take the parts off, let them sit for a couple minutes till either cool to the touch or where I can hold on to it. Now the pot I'll leave sit there for a while. So I'll take my parts, I'll rinse them with water. I got that big old brush, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna brush everything out, wipe everything down, and put it up, okay? Then once the pot is pretty much cool, I can dump it out, all right? So that it's safe to handle. Remember, that's the liquid in there when you first stop, that liquid's what, 200 degrees. You could really burn yourself if you weren't really careful. So once it's cooled down a little bit, I'll dump the liquid out. And then what I will do is let the pot cool down. And once it's cool enough to touch and handle, and then it's time I just rinse it with water, wipe it out with a rag, make sure there ain't nothing stuck in the bottom, or, and I really wipe the heating element off and wipe the outside off and just clean it up. And then don't put your stove back together. Leave it open so that it can dry. It's very important. You want it to dry. And you're done. And it'll be all ready to use for the next time. All right? All righty. Well, that's the 6 tips that I come up with. I really hope one of them will help you out. Like I said, it works for me. I've made a lot of good product, and I want to make a lot more good product. So I hope something helped you out. All right. For you guys been doing this for long, I know this is old information for you, but we always want to try to help the newer people out. We want as many people in this hobby as we can get. So the idea of, this channel and many others is so we can trade ideas. We can help the old people trade ideas and some of the newer people so they can learn what they need to learn to move ahead in this hobby. All right. So, that's enough yakking for me, ain't it? All right. I just want to thank everybody for all your support. I'm having a whole lot of fun with this channel. Been doing it for a while now. All right. So, I guess the last thing I got to say is, hey, thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you next time here on Still Works and Brewing. Cheers, everybody. We'll see you next time.